UFO whistleblower Jake Barber has just claimed in a News Nation special report that he had an encounter with a flying disc that left him possessed like a spirit, right? Something akin to God, as he described it, basically claiming that, you know, if you have a psionic ability, right, the special ability that your consciousness can connect with alien craft, right? And he describes an experience that was quite profound for him, to be honest with you. So I'm going to let Jake explain, and then I've got one more clip to show you, so stay with me.
So there was another object. There's two objects that I'm here to talk about. One was the egg. The other is what we called an akin. The akin was essentially a flying disc with what looked like 8 delineated sections when looking down. And I can tell you what it looked like from looking down because that's primarily how I saw it, because I'm a helicopter pilot. We did recoveries with the akins. There was more than one that made its way to the ground on this particular operation.
Simply seeing a non-human craft up close would be an intense experience in itself. But Barber says as he prepared to transport that so-called akin from the pickup site to the drop site, something even more intense happened to him that would change his life forever.
This is one of the most profound experiences I've ever had in my life I'm about to share with you, so bear with me. So as I get closer to this pick site, I start feeling odd. I start feeling extremely emotional. And the closer I get, the more the emotion starts to overwhelm me. I feel this intense hybrid of sadness and happiness and beauty and song. And it was very disruptive to me because I had a very practical responsibility at the time to operate a helicopter in the mountains at night. And I began wondering what was wrong with me. It was late. Am I just stressed? Am I tired? I don't know. But as I came over this object for the pick, it was this overwhelming sense of emotion.
Is it your feeling? Are you suddenly having a mental breakdown on the job?
No, I felt like something connected with me. I felt like something had tuned in to me and my soul and was providing me some sense of guidance on what to do and how profound what I was doing was. And it was so overwhelming that I began to cry. And then I'm confused as to why I'm crying at the same time. And then do I abort the mission? So I just did my best to focus on my particular cues when doing this type of work. And I got the load hooked up and I began flying away. And once it was just me and that object in between the pick and the drop site, there's about 20 miles in between, I felt like something was inside of me. I felt like I was possessed by the most beautiful spirit I'd ever been possessed by. And
was it loving?
It was loving. But there was a sense of sadness at the same time. And
had you ever had an experience like this before?
No, it was a very feminine energy, I'll tell you that. It felt like the spirit of God, but not in any masculine sense. And it wasn't like a soul, it was like a frequency that I was connected with. And whatever that force was since that night, it has stayed with me. And as crazy as this sounds, it's what's guiding me now. And it's what's providing protection for me.
It's changed your life.
It's changed my life.
Wait a second. Humans bonding psychically and emotionally with non-human intelligence? Yes, Jake Barber says that's exactly what happened to him. And he's not the only one. And he says the government knows all about it.
There is a psychic component to the research and development of the UAP program.
So look, I have to admit, seeing someone like that break down and recall a traumatic experience is quite understandable, to be honest with you, right? There's no doubt about that. And I can understand how just, overwhelming that can be in that moment, right? So I have to admit there was a little bit of me that kind of, I got the feels, okay? I'm human, all right? We're all human beings here. And, hearing him describe his encounter, right? Seeing this flying disc and then having this connection. I've heard this kind of story multiple times in the community. Now, I'm not, here to talk about its veracity, if it's real or not real. I don't know, right? This is his experience and he's telling his story. What I can say is that this implication of, psionics and connecting to the UAP program, well, that's interesting to say the least. But, his own experience in and of itself, I've heard it before, and again, I can feel for and have some compassion for a man that clearly went through something that he felt was quite profound. Right now, stay with me. I've got one more clip to show you, and one other special clip actually that I forgot to mention at the beginning. So stick with me for that. But here we go.
Jake Barber says that when he retrieved a so-called akin-shaped UAP, he had an intense emotional reaction, which convinced him he'd connected telepathically with a non-human intelligence.
You're talking UFOs, flying saucers, and
That's probably one of the hardest conversations. That object, or whatever was controlling that object, was also connecting to me through my mind.
And so how did the object come to land?
I think it was invited to land by the Psionics team.
Jake says his mission that night came from no accidental crash. The UAP was summoned by a separate team, a special team with special abilities. They're called psionics.
What is a psionic?
A psionic person is someone with the predisposition for extratemporal, you could say, abilities and sensitivities.
Extratemporal abilities, also known as psychic powers.
What did you discover the psionics were being used for in the program?
In the program, there was certainly a desire to explore the idea that perhaps UAP could be summoned, could be communicated with, could be controlled, and could be persuaded to land, all by deploying people with psionic abilities.
And did you see that happen?
Yes, I did.
When a psionic operator engages with technology, how do they do it?
Using their mind, something like meditation.
There genuinely are people who can actually make a mental, spiritual connection to a technology.
Yes, 100%.
Look, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was a little skeptical of this story because, well, I've heard it before from someone else that I'm not really going to get into in this video, who I don't deem very credible. And honestly, I guess at the end of the day, I just need to see proof, right? But that's not my job here. My job is just to show you this right now, and you could decide for yourself. I don't think my opinion really of concern at this moment. It just came. It's all fresh, so I'm just trying to take it all in. This was just reported, so I'm bringing it to you right away. But regardless, not included in this special, okay, was an interview with Ross Coulthart after this particular special aired, right, showing Jake's story. And the person interviewing Ross on News Nation, which, again, not many, haven't seen anyone reporting on it. Granted, it just happened, but regardless, she asked Ross a really great question about this experience that Jake went through, right? Seeing this flying disc and having that profound moment, right? Again, he said he felt like he was possessed, right, by a beautiful spirit, right, akin to God, right? So take a look.
You know, one of the most shocking claims from this whistleblower, he believes he was possessed during a retrieval. Let's take a quick listen to this together.
There was this overwhelming sense of emotion.
Is it your feeling? Are you suddenly having a mental breakdown on the job?
No, I felt like something connected with me. Once it was just me and that object in between the pick and the drop site, there's about 20 miles in between, I felt like something was inside of me. I felt like I was possessed by the most beautiful spirit I'd ever been possessed by.
He's emotional here. Ross, what do you make of these claims? Because it really struck me. You even asked him in the middle of this interview, were you having a mental breakdown on the job? Do you believe that Mr. Barber is credible, that he is sound of mind?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. No, I've got no doubt at all. I mean, Mr. Barber has been running operations for a very prominent aerospace company on a very, very secure military range right up until very, very recently. I'm sure he has passed all of the scrutiny and tests that have been provided by the government to ensure that the right people are in the job. I have spoken over many years now to many people who are experiencers, particularly, interestingly enough, Tier 1 operators, people who've operated at the very elite of special forces, and not just in America. A lot of these soldiers have had these encounters, these sensations. And frankly, what's fascinating is all of them describe them as profoundly life-changing spiritual experiences. And I know people might giggle and laugh at such an idea, but I think we are on the edge, Natasha, of a profound paradigm shift in human understanding of the phenomenon. We are about, I think, to find out the full truth about what these UAPs are. I think it's inevitable. It might take months, it might take years. I suspect it's taking months. But I think eventually what we're going to find is that there is a very strong link between spiritual ideas, human consciousness, and the phenomenon of unidentified aerial phenomena. There is a definite psychic connection that is made with the phenomena, and this has been reported over many, many decades by countless thousands of witnesses. It's not a rare phenomenon. It happens all the time.
All right, look, I'm going to keep an open mind, right? There's no doubt about it. There's a lot happening. It's all fresh. I'm going to keep an open mind. Let me know what you think in the comments about all this. This is a lot to take in, right? This is not what I was expecting from this report. This was initially just sold as, you know, this whistleblower's come out. He had seen an egg-shaped craft. We had a crash recovery video. I made a video about that. I'll put a link in the description. Please go check that out so you can see that never-before-seen footage, too. I thought it was just all about that. And then next thing you know, really, most of the episode is dedicated to this particular subject, right? And even more. So, you know, again, gonna keep an open mind. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll see you on the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.